Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Into the Storm.
I'm Dan. I'll be playing Helios the Immolator.
I'm John. I'll be playing Ariad Ein Ariat, the Elven Barbarian.
I'm Josh, and I play Sapush, the Druid.
And I'm Matt, playing Father Kyle Black, the Cleric.
And I'm your Dungeon Master, Jake.
Where's Ryan?
Well, unfortunately, we've lost Ryan due to some personal stuff. He's not going to be able to play anymore. But I think I have a plan for his character.
Don't worry, he's still alive, and he will return in the future.
And I'm your Dungeon Master, Jake. This is episode 4, Smoke on the Water.
Silence belly up for rounds, forgiven.
All right, so why don't we go over experience real quick and see how close we are to leveling before we get started. There might be an opportunity near the middle of this game to level up if you guys do hit that threshold of 8 experience, but none of you should be there yet.
If we survive the fight.
Yeah.
If you survive the fight. So why don't we just go around the table? Dan, you want to start? Tell us how Helios is doing on XP.
Sure. So I've got 5 XP. And we had talked a little bit about my bonds, and there weren't any that really stood out as being resolved. Wally and I had talked about the bond between Ariad and Helios being the actual bond. I wrote it out. It's feed the flames with Ariad, meaning like how he's sort of a barbarian and has those appetites of destruction and stuff. But most of that session was me being more reluctant to hurt the Furians because I'm a Furian. And so during that whole transaction, I was much more reserved about attacking, whereas he was kind of emboldened the whole time. So we decided to not advance that particular bond. And then the other ones didn't really seem to apply either, but that was the closest one. And looking forward, there's a variety of different moves that I might take. And one was the one I was kind of shit talking last time, which was adding the different descriptors.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because it just means that what I do is much more effective at range.
I think after that little fight, it's more clear now how they can become significant.
Sure.
Especially if the fight is more than just a standoff in the sand. If there's dynamic things going on, then some of those descriptors might actually matter a lot.
Right.
We also don't have anybody besides Farley with his knives that is ranged at all.
True. Ariad, John, what is?
I'm at 6 right now. Like we said, we didn't really resolve any bonds, but I had a couple failed rolls. So
Sapush is at 6 also. We did write that Kyle and I resolved the bond. Maybe we jumped the gun a little bit, but Kyle could talk about that. It was from his end. It was more that it was a pretty basic, simple one that we started with, and we thought maybe we could come up with something a little bit more dynamic after some role playing. And the numbers we're going include everybody got 2 for the end of session. There's a few things you look at, and we all said that we learned something new and important about the world, and we overcame a notable monster or enemy. That's it, Matt.
Kyle is at 5 XP currently. Also, I'd like to find out everybody's as the healer. I have 17 current hit points, so I'm good. Not sure how everybody else is doing, but
I'm at 11 right now.
I'm at
Out of 20.
Sapush is at 20 because you gave him that sweet, sweet nectar.
And Helios is at 13 of 19.
Also, because we kind of did end off like in the action, so to speak. Matt, you had just healed Ariad, and you're kind of feeling a bit of a bloodlust. You kind of got too close to him emotionally with that healing. So when we start, just something I want you to keep in mind. I'm going to give you two options. If you attack an enemy before you cast the spell, you're fine. Until you actually physically attack someone, you're going to have -1 ongoing for casting spells.
Okay.
You're feeling Ariad's bloodlust. And
Do we want to say anything about Farley?
yeah, I mean, I've kind of got a plan for him, little GM fiat, but yeah. But since he's not here, he will.
He retires on the island to sell
see.
his coconuts.
I'm a ruthless DM to those who do not show up. All right, cool. We ready to get going then?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to start off with a little captain's log. The Maiden's Dream has been lost, torn apart by the worst storm I've seen in 20 years of sailing. With half of the crew lost and no supplies recovered, we rowed the life rafts to the nearest island, a small native village called White Sand, under the flag of Belakai, but mostly autonomous. To our surprise, we found a Furion ship had made anchor off the coast. My passengers, the 5 strangers I was chartered to bring to Fort Asan, went into White Sand in search of supplies and assistance. Sometime later, we saw from our camp that a fight had broken out on the beach. By the time my crew and I arrived, the fight was over. 14 Furion sailors lay dead in the sand, at the feet of the 5 men. Their negotiation had not gone well. We would receive no assistance from the natives, who would expressly forbid violence, and any chance to parley with the Furion sailors was lost. We were left with only one choice. We must take the Furion ship by force. So you guys pile into these boats, grab shields out of the sand and oars, and you push off as fast as you can. The Furion ship is already starting to lower its sails and raise its anchors, so there's no time to waste. Up above, a falcon takes wing and flies high. It goes way up above all of the ships, starts to circle. From your high vantage point, you can see sailors scrambling around on the deck of the Furion ship, and you do what falcons do. You dive straight towards bowstrings, I believe you said. Yes, Josh?
Oh, yeah. Sepush
right.
is hungry
do.
for bowstrings.
Meanwhile, the rest of you pile into these rowboats. You have 8 sailors and the captain with you, and you make way across the water as quickly as you can. There's a lot of distance to cover, but luckily, it would appear that they're moving slower than they should.
Almost as if half their crew has been murdered.
Sepush, as you dive towards the enemy ship, you notice something very strange. You don't see a lot of sailors on the deck. You only see a handful, and you see hats and helmets and things like that on the railings. And you realize that they're trying to hide their numbers.
Interesting. I will process that, but while in Falcon mode, my brain focuses on the prey.
Nice.
So kind of that kicks around the back, but I hone in on a crewman taking a bow and pointing outwards towards my comrades.
Yeah, as you're in this dive, looking around at the crew, scanning the deck quickly, you don't see anyone drawing bows. It looks like they are concentrating mainly on getting those sails up, or at least you think that's what they're doing, until you get closer and you realize they're doing something else. 2 of them are fiddling around with some large metal contraption that you're not familiar with, while the rest of them are hooking lines up to something along the edge of the ship.
Don't like it.
Meanwhile, in the boats, you're all rowing, and Captain...
Is there any chance they're making us like a welcome aboard feast? Is it a large cooking contraption?
Over the water, you hear a voice carry as the captain of the Furion ship yells, "Raise the boarding nets!" And you see these nets start to get raised along the outside of the ship. They're fairly condensed. The holes between them aren't very big. You could fit an arm through, but that's about it. These are a real thing that I never knew about until doing some research on naval boarding. But a lot of ships would have these nets that actually cover the entire perimeter of the ship, and they can be raised up by the mast to prevent boarding. And that's exactly what they do. And as you're rowing, Captain Cohen says, "Damn it, they've got boarding nets."
Jake, while we're rowing out there, I'm going to conjure again like a small ball of flame in my hand.
Okay.
As we're rowing out there, and have it kind of prepared to hurl at the boat should it be necessary.
Should it be necessary? Okay. I will remind you that your weapon has the destructive tag, I believe.
we do need the boat. Yes, I will try to remember that.
Ariad is frantically rowing with everyone else, has a shield up in front of him, looks back at the captain and says, "Have you ever boarded a ship like this?"
No.
What are we to do?
You can climb them, try to cut them. I don't know. You're the fighters.
I should be able to burn the ropes.
There you go.
Take care not to burn the whole ship.
Have you ever had to defend a ship?
Yes. They'll stay to the interior. They'll use pole arms. That way they have a reach on us. Just pray to God they don't have a cannon.
Cannon? What is that?
As if on cue, you hear a thunderous roar come from the enemy ship. Everyone roll a d6. High, you're in the cannon boat. Low, you're in the other boat.
Is that a good thing, being in the cannon?
So where would it be weak?
Matt, he starts to answer by pointing towards the top of the nets, where you see that these nets go up about 12 feet, and then at the top there are lines that lead up to the boom on the main mast. So instead of having to cut through the entire net, if you just cut those lines, the nets will fall. So he says, "There, if you can reach that," and then boom. High or low? What do you guys got?
Low.
I rolled a 3. So.
Hi.
High. Okay, Kyle, Black, and Farley
Oh no.
are in the rowboat that takes a cannon shot. So there is an explosion, a deafening roar. Sapush, you see this cannon as you're coming down towards the deck. You see it rock back as it fires its shot. A solid ball, not grape shot. That's what it's called. Thank you. Right, skipping across the water and into this rowboat, which immediately explodes into splinters of wood and sends Kyle, Farley, and 3 crewmen into the water.
Oh. Okay.
Sends them into death.
Seems like a hard
Sends
move.
them into dying. Okay.
I yell, "What was that? They have Helios. Do they have more of you?"
It is not a pyromancer.
Faster before they reload.
They're overboard. I kind of look over at Kyle and the others.
Keep going.
We need to be close to the ship. Otherwise, they will strike us again.
What about? Is there a rope on this rope?
No, it's all fallen off. I mean, it's not like a turbulent sea.
Yeah.
If they survive that shot, if they weren't hit by a cannonball, then they will be able to swim. It's just not very convenient.
Yeah.
So, you guys, Helios and Ariad, are on your way towards the Furion boat, quickly closing in. But you see in front of you the side of the ship, and then near the top, near the deck, you just see this netting that goes up another 10 to 12 feet. So how exactly you get on board the ship is going to be a challenge. Give that some thought while I hop over to Sapush.
Well, Sapush was going to go for a guy, one of the sailors who seems to be hauling the lines that are bringing up those boarding nets.
Yep.
Go for an eye. That's the
Okay.
Falcon move. Even if he doesn't get it, it's enough to panic.
Yeah. Did you do a roll to see how many holds you have?
I got 3 holds.
You
That
got
was
3
at the
holds?
end of last
Okay.
game.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell me exactly what you want to do to this sailor.
I want to swoop, and I don't even really care if I actually blind him, but just swoop down and land on his head and claw at his face around his eyes, enough to just. I want to panic him and stay down there to the extent that not only is he going to drop his line, but maybe flail around enough to panic the other crew that are helping with that line, and maybe even get him to drop it.
All right. Yeah, you do exactly that. And from your boat, Ariad and Helios, you see part of the net start to dip. There are these lines at the top of it that go up, loop around the mast, and then come down. And the sailors are pulling those lines to raise the netting. And one of them must have lost a hold of the line. You don't see Sapush, so you don't know why, but you do see part of that net just isn't getting raised as fast as the rest. So if you go for that area, it might be a little easier to try to climb over or something like that, but it's more slack in that area. So your boat is now 15 feet from the side of the ship and moving
Helios,
in quickly.
That part fell over there.
I will try to light it.
Helios.
Helios
What could go wrong?
is going to. Helios's plan is to try to light the rope on fire and then use one of his other moves to control the flames. That's the hope.
Okay.
So I am going to.
What could possibly go wrong?
I just need to roll to see what other descriptors I might get.
Sure. This is your create fire weapon type move.
Dan, why don't you make a life raft out of fire and fucking throw it to them, and then you
Magic
can
carpet.
control the fire.
Won't be
to
so hot.
Safely. Yeah, it'll balance out with the water.
Yeah, so I got a 7, so I'll just use the thrown descriptor so I can actually hurl it towards the boat.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw it at the cargo netting and then use the move Zuko style to bend the flame to my will, which is another roll as well.
Okay. So go ahead and roll the Zuko style.
Nope. That's a
Yep.
2, 3, 5. That's a 5.
Okay. Is there a description of what goes wrong there, or?
It just says on a 7 to 9, the effect is short-lived, lasting only a moment. It doesn't say anything for less than a 7.
It seemed foolproof. I don't know.
I mean, right?
So basically, you can't control it. It just now is
So
burning.
basically, you lit our ship on fire.
What could go wrong?
Okay. So what was your total roll again?
5.
5. All right.
I rolled a 2 and a 1.
Yeah. The plan goes off perfectly to start. You create a ball of fire. You throw it at the netting, and the netting catches. And it burns faster than you expected. And you try to reach out to the flame and direct it the direction you want, but it doesn't seem to be following your will at the moment.
Okay.
And it begins to spread across the net, which is kind of what you wanted.
Sorta.
The sailors can put it out.
Okay. Matt, you're not sure what happened. You heard a loud banging noise, and all of a sudden you were in the water. There's splinters of wood around you, but you quickly come up to the surface, and you see a few sailors around you as well. They seem dazed, not sure what is going on, but they start swimming towards the Furion boat. What are you doing?
Well, at first, I'm flailing around like an ocean sunfish. And then I will attempt to start swimming towards the ship and the boat.
Okay.
Jay, it's a baby whale.
Matt, why don't you give me a defy danger roll using probably strength because you're swimming.
6.
Sure, this is going to go well.
6. Do you wear armor?
Yes.
Okay, so you're having trouble swimming because of the armor. You can make it to the boat if you kind of strip off some of that and let it sink. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of stuck around the remains of the rowboat, holding on to some floating debris. Unless you have another idea.
Yeah. I mean, I wear robes, so my robes could be weighing me down in the water and kind of pulling me under. along with the
Yeah.
armor. So I have to get rid of my robes and probably ditch some of my armor.
Can you imagine how annoying it would be to swim wearing a robe?
That'd be awful.
Okay, so you tear off some of your robes, and what is your armor rating?
1.
1. Okay, so yeah, you tear off some of your robes and you pull off like your breastplate. It's probably leather, I assume, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you rip off your shirt, like your leather jerkin type thing, and that helps you a lot. And you manage to swim up to the side of the boat, which actually puts you out of line of sight of the Furion sailors that are up on the deck, which is kind of nice. From where you are, you hear a sailor yell, "It's gonna blow!"
Balls.
Meanwhile, on the deck,
That's a good sign.
Sepush in Falcon form,
Sorry, team.
mauling the face of one of these poor
About to
sailors.
become a phoenix. Sure, go ahead.
We're gonna go back to the elder after destroying like this huge explosion in the bay. We're like, I mean, we
On second thought,
It's a
we will
cleansing
take
fire.
up your offer.
It's a cleansing fire, all right?
As bodies like wash up on the beach. What is Sepush doing?
Sepush, I think, stayed down, clawing and flapping and cawing until, probably a couple sailors came over and tried to help pull him off this guy's face and took off a little bit of flesh in his
Okay.
claws, circled back up around for another look, looked out to see if he sees that Kyle and the others seem like they're doing okay, they're going to make it over to the boat. He probably circles back, and after that last explosion, he's probably going to look at that thing and see if there's anything he can do about. However, obviously I know Josh knows how the fuck they light off a cannon, but if he can figure out some kind of trigger mechanism and swoop in and basically grab out the wick or the flint or whatever they're using
Sure.
to light it, if it looks like they're trying to shoot it again.
You harass those sailors for a while, you take off, you fly up high, circle a little, and then you dive in again. At the moment, just planning on disrupting the sailors who are doing something with that machine. You're not really sure what. It looks like they're pushing it or something like that. But you dive in and claw at them, keep them away from the machine, and go ahead and give me a discern reality roll.
Is that wisdom?
That's wisdom, yeah.
All right, it could be good. That's an 11.
Oh.
11. Very good. So, normally the way that works is you can ask a question, but I kind of want to use it just to see how situationally aware you are. So
Can I
you
ask you a
realize
question? Are you about to blow up this fucking ship on us?
what you realize is that you thought at first that you were disrupting them from loading it, but in fact, what they're trying to do is push it away from the encroaching fire. They're trying to push the cannon away so that it doesn't explode, and you're at first preventing that, but you quickly realize that's what they're doing, and that maybe you shouldn't prevent it.
Yeah, I'm on team cannon not exploding. So
Yeah.
I take back to the sky and try to just circle for another
Okay.
vantage and just look for an opportunity.
Okay, so you're gonna leave the gunners alone
Yes.
for now. Okay, Ariad,
Yep.
you're up against the ship now.
Yeah.
Your rowboat bangs into the side of the Furion ship. What are you doing?
As soon as it hits the ship, I reach up for a line, if there is one hanging there, or something to hold on to, and I start climbing.
Okay, it's fairly easy for you to climb up the side of the ship. That netting, ironically, makes it a little easier to climb up. The problem is that as soon as you get above the hull to level
You have to
with
keep
the
going
deck,
over it.
yeah, at
They
that
start
point
stabbing
they start
McStabbers.
stabbing you. Right. So you do get to that point. You climb up over the hull so that you're perpendicular with the deck, but hanging out over the water.
Yep.
And you see that there are some sailors with spears and pole arms, and they start to try to jab at you. What are you doing?
Where the netting fell a little bit, is there any way to get around where I am at to get onto the deck without having to go over?
So it's kind of just drooping. Like imagine a curtain that has been pulled like all the way, like those shower curtains that are pulled around in a circle. Imagine something like that, but part of it is just drooping, so it's lower. So you can't really just jump over it, but it's lower and easier to climb where you are.
Okay. Is there a way to grab them, one of the spears, and I'm going to try to pull their spears out or pull them out and over if I can. Try to at least disarm them first of all, or pull them overboard if possible.
Yeah. Why don't you give me a Defy Danger roll?
Yeah. Strength, I assume.
Yep.
And Jake, when I see windows, so push is probably a good time to use
4.
defend. As people start trying to climb up, that's what he's going to try to get in a position to distract.
Cool. Yeah. When that happens, I'll put you in there. Yeah. Sorry, John. What was the total?
I got a 4. I've never done this before, and I don't know what I'm doing, and it probably is a bad idea when I decided to.
All right. Pretty simple, really. Take a D6.
Yep. Tree.
You try to grab this
1. 1 less. So 2.
armor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You try to grab this spear, and you do. You grab the pointy end, which hurts a lot. And then as you try to hold onto it, but when he pulls back, it just cuts your hand. Doesn't feel too good at all.
I yell up at the sky as they'll, Sapoosh, where are you? I need your help.
Oh. Helios, you are still in the boat.
Yeah,
You see the sailors are starting to climb up with Ariad kind of leading the climb.
Helios, having not been able to kind of bend the fire to his will, feels like he needs to be closer to it in order to exert his control over it. So he's going to start climbing the netting towards the fire.
Oh, fun.
Needs to be.
What if you used fire to burn away the stuff outside the first fire,
Or-
so there's no fuel for it to spread to?
I like it. Or maybe just like set the water on fire. Try to burn the water down to the sand, to the bottom, so the boat's just resting, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
You start to climb as quickly as you can.
One-handed man.
But yeah, kind of wrapping that stub around part of the netting as you do. And as you start to climb through netting that is burning. And it's, just burning your hand and your arm as you make your way up. And you near the top of it with little resistance from the other side. The sailors don't seem to be trying to defend the part of the sails that are on fire, or netting rather. But as you reach almost the crest, you hear rolling thunder, and then it starts to rain heavily. You take a D6 fire damage. You're at the top of the netting.
And there was no weather in the sky as
Seemed pretty clear. Kyle Black,
You're used to the fire.
down at the waterline of the hull.
So the last thing I heard was that it's gonna blow.
Right.
So I'm gonna move, holding on to the hull. I'm gonna move to the bow aft of the ship, and as I see that this rain is starting to come down, I'm gonna cast detect magic.
Okay. Go ahead and roll plus wisdom.
Now I have a minus. Oh yeah, that's a big fail.
Because of the -1.
Yeah,
Or just a terrible roll as well.
yeah. I rolled a 4 with the -1. It's 5.
You got to roll every time you try to cast a spell?
Yeah, use magic. Because it's not... It's kind of neat the way that it works. If you have a success, you don't... It's not like D&D, you don't lose the spell. You keep it. You keep casting. But one of the potential side effects to failing or getting a mixed success is you no longer have it memorized, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of neat because, otherwise, in D&D, it's like, oh, I can cast 2 spells and then I do nothing until we rest.
Are all wizard spells or cleric spells, are they like individual moves, or are there can you
The
do
move is
multiple?
called cast a spell.
Okay.
And then you pick one of the spells that you have
Got it.
prepared.
Yeah,
like
like effects.
Yeah. Yeah, on a fail, you just fail. It just doesn't work. So what happens to Kyle is he's in the water. He's trying to find something solid to kind of hold onto, and he's trying to cast a spell, and now it's raining. So there's just too much of a distraction. And you keep kind of sucking in seawater by accident, and that keeps disrupting you. You don't manage to get that spell cast, but it is clear to you that something unnatural is happening here. Even without that detect magic, Matt, you've seen enough storms and weird weather. This came out of nowhere, and there's something wrong with it. Maybe if you had made that roll, you would have been able to identify the source better, but at the moment, you're not sure.
Okay.
Hey, bud to bud though, not a bad time to take a 5 down there. Things are looking a little
things are
gnarly
heating up.
top.
Oh, I'm not climbing on that ship. There's no fucking way my fat ass is making it up the outside of that thing.
But there's a little part of you, little elven part of you that wants to climb that ship and
Oh yeah.
kick some ass.
Realizing
It's
now
like
the
it's
value,
like a rat trying to scramble up the sides.
realizing now the value of rolling well on the burning brand. One of the tags you can move is remove the dangerous tag.
Oh, nice.
Pretty good.
There you go.
Good.
Hey, this tag thing works.
Yeah.
Ariad, you're hanging above the netting on the edge of the ship, and these sailors are stabbing at you. And you realize what Sapush realized earlier, which is that there are far fewer than you expected. You guys had expected over a dozen sailors. You see 3 guys, and they're stabbing at you with spears. And then you see 2 other guys pushing a cannon, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you see. The 3 guys who are in front of you start stabbing at you, and then Sapush, you're gonna try to defend.
Yes, Push is going to swoop down and then just get real aggro up in their face. Kind of same thing. Go for the face. I know that humans are kind of particular about their eyes, nose, and throat. A lot of flapping.
You humans need them to see.
Basically, as much trying to distract them or get attention on me. So I'll make a defend roll. Can I maybe use one of my holds to get +1 forward
Yeah, sure.
while I'm doing this?
Sure.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's max.
That's a 14.
Double sixes.
So I guess all. I hold 3 on the defend. I did not need to use that hold, but I did. And so I can use these holds anytime to redirect an attack from the thing I'm defending to myself. Half the attack's effect or damage. Open up the attacker to an ally, giving that ally +1 forward against them, or deal damage to the attacker equal to my level. So I'm probably going to be focusing mostly on the first one for now. Taking the attacks onto myself, and then maybe eventually once Ariad or any of the others get over, giving them an advantage to attack. But the first
Cool.
one, I'm just going to take the attack.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you dive in. You start to disrupt the spearmen, and just flying in their face. And you realize, oh, there's the bush. you can tell.
I look
Yeah.
down at the sailors that are climbing, and I go, "Let's go, men! There are only 3 of them." And
Nice.
I just climb over.
Okay. All right. Give me another defy danger strength to get over this thing, or dexterity. I guess you can take your choice.
Strength.
Hey, isn't the Furion flag like a hawk or a falcon?
Falcon. Yeah.
Really fuck with the morale.
There we go.
Gods must be against us.
A 10.
A 10. Okay. So you get over the top, and then you jump down to the deck and land right in front of these 3 sailors who, had it not been for this falcon that was attacking them, they'd have spears pointed up at you when you jump down on them.
Yep.
But they do not. They're too distracted by what's going on. Sapush, you manage to keep these spearmen from just impaling Ariad as he jumps over the net, but then someone grabs you, and all of a sudden you're not airborne. You're being gripped, and you are turned to face a man. He has no hair, shaved head, long goatee. He's wearing a dark red captain's coat, and he looks at you and he says, "What the hell are you?" And then he throws you towards the burning net. Go ahead and give me a Oh no, actually, just you're essentially taking the hit for John.
Yep.
It's just a cool
Okay. Flavor.
So just give me a D6 plus 1 minus your armor.
So that's 3.
Okay. You whack into that burning net, but then you quickly gain your bearings and get back in the air. Helios, you're at the top of the net. It's raining now. Luckily, the fire is starting to go out so that it isn't going to burn you as much. It's not completely out yet. There is still some fire on the netting. But you notice that it's drenched the deck of the ship. Tell me, do you think that your character knows what gunpowder is?
I would say so, just because he's fought in the war.
Yeah. You see that there was a small keg of gunpowder next to that cannon, and it spilled out over the deck. It's now fully soaked in water. Luckily, the fire that was about to spread to it has been put out. But you see the sailors, two of the sailors, instead of trying to fight, they're pushing that cannon away from the flame.
Okay, so they're kind of wrapped up and involved in trying to move it as far as away.
The other 3 sailors are squaring off with Ariad, and then there's a 6th man who appears to be the captain, the one I described to Josh, who just tossed the falcon kind of towards you, and then turns back towards his men and draws a cutlass.
Regarding the rest of the crew that was coming up with us, where are they at?
They're now they're now parallel with the deck, so they're coming up the netting, and because Ariad is on the other side, there's not as much resistance, so they don't have to worry about getting stabbed as much.
Okay.
Looking out over the water, you also see some sailors swimming towards the ship.
At this point, the netting doesn't matter so much because all of the sailors on board the ship are kind of already involved.
Yeah, and you now, of course, realize that there's way less than you expected, which is good, because if it had been a full complement, then you'd be getting stabbed right now.
Could I make a discern reality roll as to see if there's anything being... Are we being deceived right now?
Sure, go ahead and roll.
Nope.
Got a bad record
Nope.
with that roll.
Nope.
I think that's 3 times you failed that. 3 times
Yep.
you've tried.
Don't you have,
Crushing the
don't you
XP.
have wisdom?
Is it...
It's wisdom. Oh yeah, you did this last time.
7. You got a 7.
I got a 7. Okay. Squeaking by.
John's here to
Right? To do math.
math.
So that gives you one question. Why don't you take a look, decide what you want to ask, and I'll jump over to Kyle Black in the meantime. So Kyle Black is down near the hull of the ship, near the aft, and what is he doing?
Trying to scramble up the side of the ship as best he can. Hearing the sounds of battle, hearing Ariad screaming.
So they actually had the anchor about halfway up the side of the ship, and you're able to grab onto that and climb up the chain pretty easily. You're still on the outside of the boarding net, but you're basically right on the edge of the aft of the ship. So from where you are, think of like you're basically standing on the railing, holding onto the net to keep your balance, and you can see the Ariad is on the deck. You can see your sailors starting to climb the sails, and there's really no one next to you. Like, you could climb over from here without any trouble, or you can do something else if you want.
No, I'll try to climb over. If there's no other sailors trying to attack me, I'll use that to my advantage and get over unseen.
Yeah, you start to climb over. You're gonna be actually like right near the ship wheel when you get over. But you start to make your way over. Dan, Helios, did you figure out the question?
Yeah, so I think the best question would be for Helios, what here is not what it appears to be?
Okay. Well, there are far less sailors on the ship than there should be. There should be probably another dozen men here, and there's not. And you don't think that they're just a short-handed crew. You think those men are somewhere. But it doesn't appear that they're on the boat.
Okay, I don't think that they could be below decks.
They could be, but
It would be odd.
it'd be a weird strategy.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to let you kill the guys on board. Yeah.
And the only other place that they could have been on the island that we didn't look was the jungle, which is where the rest of them are in.
They could be in the jungle on the island. Yep. which is where the bosun ran to, but they're not here, and yeah, there's
digging
definitely missing sailors.
Clearly digging up treasure in the jungle.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. With that, I think he's going to try to get over the rope and back and down onto the deck.
Okay. Sabush.
Sabush is going to keep. He's going to hold that ground until Ariad and the others can kind of get into the mix. He's going to maybe spend both of his holds if he can this round to both take another round of attention, but also give Ariad and the sailors +1 to attack these guys. That's the other thing you can do with defend.
Oh, cool. Okay, so you're still doing your harassing bird moves.
Yep. I'm gonna
Cool.
basically just kind of keep that going, even up the ante, even call louder.
Nice. Quite annoying.
Super.
Sabush, you've got some really annoying bird helping you out by just pecking at these guys. And what are you doing?
I kind of step back a bit and draw my two-handed sword, and I look back at the soldiers or the sailors kind of climbing over, and I point at the captain. I say, "Watch how this is done," and I just charge at him with my sword.
Okay.
And cute fucking snake eyes.
Yeah.
Watch
I
this.
trip on a rope.
You're going right for the captain.
Yeah.
Okay.
My elven grace.
So I'm giving you +1 for it, John.
Okay. Sir. 10, 11.
11. Okay. So what additional effect are you going to use? You have a couple options, I believe.
Yes.
Decapitation.
Dude, there's a really cool barbarian move where if you roll like a 13, you can hack a limb off.
Yeah.
Oh my
I saw
God.
that. So good. I will do a +d6 damage, but expose myself to him. Wink. So
What do you have for HP there, big boy?
a 9er.
Okay. It's a bold
I
move.
was
Really counted on this whole friendly friend of the skies.
11, 12.
dear God. I just watched him roll a
Plus
die
one.
10 plus a die 6 for damage.
Yeah. How does it happen?
He may not have expected me to go straight for him with his crew there, and maybe they're all taken aback as well at the speed in which I run through him. Basically, I draw past him, and even cut his cutlass in half as I cut into his gut, and he just goes tumbling into and it's just blood everywhere on the deck, and his body just slumps against the mast.
Brutal.
Yeah.
was that the captain?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
He
Okay. All right. I missed that.
just gutted the captain.
Fatality.
I am the captain now.
Ariad, you do that, and then you turn back, blade dripping blood towards these three sailors,
I kind of look disappointed a bit.
and they drop their spears.
Oh. Was that the best of yours? I kind of point at the body with my sword dripping with blood.
Suppose they drop their blades and kind of just cover their heads so that they don't get pecked to death.
I have one hold left.
Mhm.
I'd like to use that to circle into the air and shit on one of their heads.
Okay.
Whichever one hurt me last time.
Nice. I like it. You do so. It literally lands on the guy's head as he has his hands up in the air, and he flinches a little, but he doesn't move to wipe it off because he's afraid that if he does, this murder elf will will murder him. The sailors and the captain start to come over that netting, as does Helios. Meanwhile, Kyle, back near the aft of the ship, you notice something strange near the wheel of the ship. You notice a stone pillar about 3 feet tall with a stone basin on top of it. It looks a lot like a bird bath, basically.
Ooh. Okay. Keep going.
It's not. It is actually filled with water because of the rain. But you see charred wood and ash inside, like it had been used for a fire.
Sorry.
I'm gonna.
What did I
Just
miss?
like attractively looking down at the bird bath, like, All right, okay.
Caboose is just like so turned on right now.
All right, I see what you're working with. Kyle's like, hey.
Kyle's immediately drawn to this thing, which is clearly out of place being on a sailing ship and located right behind the captain's wheel. So it's right in front of you when you come down off that net.
It's definitely going to look like something I've used in the past, a prayer, some sort of altar or something. Can I go up to whatever's left in the bowl and kind of smush it between my fingers and sniff it?
Absolutely.
Maybe like taste a little bit of it, see if I can recognize any herbs or what was burned.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need a roll for this. You do that, and you don't think it's any sort of specific herb. You think it was just maybe charcoal. It was just a brazier of fire, which is really bad to have on a boat. It's clearly for some sort of ritual. You don't think it was lit when you came on board because it's not warm. If it had been lit, the rain might have put it out. You didn't notice smoke from the shore.
Since I still have my elven bloodlust, and there's sort of all the blood on the deck of the ship, I'm gonna run towards the sailors that are giving up, come up from behind them, and just like give one a stone cold stunner.
Okay.
Fucking team war crime.
Ariadne's like, no, they gave up.
you do that. You knock him to the deck. And for a moment, it looks like the other guys are going to try to fight you. But a couple of your guys grab you, Kyle, and kind of haul you off. And the rest of you, this is weird. This is not normal for Kyle. I assume you're usually like pretty chill.
I look at the guy who got body slammed, and I say, I think that was for the cannonball.
Helios kind of looks at Kyle oddly and then turns to the three men who had just given up, and he says,
There's 5 altogether because
5?
there's also the 2 guys that were on the cannon that weren't fighting.
who is in charge after the captain?
They all look at each other and start to point to each other.
Who can tell me where the rest of your men are?
The rest of them?
There should be many more.
One of them, this older looking guy with a white beard, wearing a little like beanie hat. He says, Fort Asan. We dropped him off there.
Helios looks at the rest of our group. To what end did you drop them off there?
I don't really know. Our job was to bring them there.
Were they armed?
Most of them were soldiers, and then a weird fellow dressed kind of like you.
Is this a Furion attack? Are you planning on invading the kingdom?
I don't know anything about that. We dropped them off in the jungle outside of Fort Asan.
Is there going to be another war?
Just ask Private Schmuckatelli what the fucking division objective is.
Perhaps, Ariad, we can look at the captain's logs.
Yes.
He points you towards the captain's like chambers. He doesn't give a fuck.
What's the name of our captain?
Cohen.
Captain Cohen. Could you see to it that these men are secured?
Of course. Your man there was injured pretty badly. Took some shrapnel from that cannon blast. We got him in the rowboat, but we'll pull it up as soon as we get these nets down.
Oh, Farley. Yes. Good that he made it.
Jake Sapusha kind of starts to feel the hawk's essence waning. He takes one last long kind of gliding swoop, looking down on the ship, the water, the island, sees anything amiss, and then kind of slowly coasts down and drops to the deck and changes back as he lands.
All right. Cohen says, "Thanks for the assist. You kept a lot of us alive." He looks towards his crew. Captain Bartholomew Cohen says, "All right, let's drop these boarding nets, secure the deck. You men, please do a sweep on below deck and make sure there's no one hiding down there. Once we got the ship secure, I'll break my men off into shifts and we'll get it ready to sail. It's not going to be easy. Might take some time. suggest you see what there is to find on this ship.
Jake, seeing, I feel Sabush feels a little tired, and seeing Kyle's agitation, I have poultices and herbs still, 2 uses.
Cool.
I'm gonna make us up a kind of a relaxing, like a
mint tea,
like a sleepy time tea, you know,
Nice,
or like a
nice.
soothing.
Yeah.
And go find Kyle off to the side and hand him some of what I prepare and sit down slowly. I have that kind of like little haggard slack look I have sometimes after exerting myself in animal form.
You find Kyle staring at this weird bird bath thing.
I pass you a coconut or something of this, Matt, and I look and I say, "Ooh, what is this? Some sort of ritual?"
Whew, yeah, something. Yeah, just tea. It's good.
Drink this. You are not yourself.
No.
No?
You're feeling a little better. You're starting to come down.
Dio spiked me a little something last time. His edge is coming off, but not sure. Seems charcoal, not anything important, but I feel it has something to do with the rain.
Rain is strange. Does not come from the wind like it should.
No, this is the second time too. When this ship was battened down the first time as well, they were prepared for a storm. I think they're connected.
You think maybe their captain makes with weather like Helios does with fire? That would be much better to be teamed with. It's too bad he's dead.
Well, hasn't stopped me before.
Ooh.
Some of this tea in an hour or two. I've got to
Yes,
speak with Dio. I think he can help.
I will be here. They are busy with ship people stuff. I will sit.
Helios turns to Ariad. Shall we go to the captain's quarters?
Yes. Let's see what this is all about.
Helios walks down the deck towards the aft of the ship,
Okay.
assuming they're kind of under that raised area where the steering is.
Yeah, that's where that sailor had pointed.
Okay. And he goes to open the door.
So there are 2 doors. There are 2 kind of cabins. The captain's, and then maybe for distinguished guests or whatever. This boat is a little bit bigger than the Maiden Stream, so it has a little bit more space for such luxuries. You're not sure which of the 2 doors is the captain's, but one door opens and the other appears to be locked. You make your way through the open door and into what looks like an office / bedroom, kind of living area, studio apartment, essentially. And it doesn't take long to realize that this is definitely the captain's quarters. There's maps and navigation stuff on a desk. There's a pretty nice looking bed, and along the back of the room near the aft of the ship, there's actually windows that look out over the water. It's pretty awesome.
I think Helios is going to walk over to the desk and start looking for the captain's log.
Okay. Give me a discern reality roll. I like making Dan make these rolls because
He always fails.
Yeah. And
Plus, I have
Ariad,
plus
you're
2.
with him?
Yeah, I'm going to... well, you got an 8.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle, John. It's a real fucking struggle.
I'm mostly going to be like rooting around. Not really. I don't really have a plan thing I'm looking for, but just looking through his trunk, his personal objects, things like that.
Cool. Okay.
I think the discern reality that I'll ask is what here is useful or valuable to me.
Okay. Give me a second to think about that.
Sure. He'll just sort of flip through to the last pages of the captain's log and read through those first. And then he'll kind of sift through the desk and some of the other belongings to see if there's anything else that kind of jumps out to him. Have you found anything, Ariad?
Just personal objects, some clothing. Haven't really found anything. I shrug. No scrolls or I don't know what you use here.
There may be a military order from Furion.
There's a navigation map as well.
Useful, but not exactly what we're looking for.
I wonder what's behind the locked door. Why would the captain's quarters not be locked? But
Could be the first mate who has left the boat.
Dan, you find what looks like instructions on how to use that weird brazier in the back of the ship.
Okay.
It's clear just at a glance that thing back there is magical based on these instructions. This is essentially telling you how to activate that magic item.
There are arcane instructions.
Right.
It's entitled Demon 101 for Dummies.
Got it.
What you don't know based on what you're based on the instructions is what is going to happen when it's activated. John, you kind of go through his personal belongings.
yeah,
You want to roll some magic
Ooh.
loot?
yeah,
Not magic loot, sorry.
just
but
loot.
Just you
Regular
want to
hat.
roll random treasure?
Of course.
Magic loot. It's actually like a magic
Magic.
loot, like you play. Yeah. Like, cool.
As an elf, I'm proficient in
Roll 2d6 and take the higher.
Okay. A 4.
Okay, I'm going to leave it up to you to determine what this is.
Yeah.
But you find a small item, gem, or art of considerable value worth 2d10 times 10 coins. Go ahead and roll that.
Wow. Holy crap. Oh, 2d10.
2d10.
Those are d6s. So that was fine. So 110 gold.
That's a lot in this game, in this
Yeah.
world.
I would
So-
like to add that if Farley were still with us, none of that would be available to us.
So, John, go ahead and figure out what that is. What is it? It's not useful because that would be a different result.
Sure.
But it's just valuable.
I'll say on the wall there is a beautiful painting of a landscape with a castle over like a misty hilled area with a mountain in the background
Cool.
with like a gilded in a gilded frame.
Mhm.
It's just a thing that he has in his office.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, this is gorgeous. I kind of pull it off.
Dan,
I'm like
You
observing it.
recognize that it's a place in the Furion lands,
It is rubble now.
Oh, well.
and you know that makes this painting even more valuable. Cool. Dan, I'll give you one more thing with your discern reality roll there. You don't think that there's nothing in this room to indicate that the captain was the person or thing or whatever responsible for the weather, except maybe for those instructions. You don't see any indication that he's a wizard or anything like that.
There's nothing else arcane in the room.
Correct.
Okay.
You don't find a spell book, his diploma.
Helios,
His homunculus.
what did you find?
Not enough, or at least not what I was looking for. There are words of the arcane here to activate that brazier above that Father Black has found. But I have not seen any indication of what they were doing at the fort. I think it best if you can open the door to the locked cabin.
I can give it a try.
Kyle, sorry.
I was going to say, is it odd for a ship to have an arcane device on it?
I would say so. More, what stands out the most is how well it's armored. Between the arcane rituals and the cannon, it is a specialized ship to be sure.
Kyle and Sapush, what are the two of you doing now?
Sitting on the deck, drinking some of this herb tea that he's made for me. I've also pulled out my pipe. I'm just kind of taking deep breaths in and out, just kind of staring out over the water while everybody else is searching. I'm communing with Dio. It's going to take an hour or two, it says.
You want to change your spell list? Is that your goal?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Sapush, hanging out with him.
Yeah, through the combination of sharing this, joking it's a tea, there is like some kind of, more herbal.
Cool.
There's an action that this is having.
Cool.
And I am sort of attuning myself to his process. It's sort of, I think part of the bond we share is kind of being able to empathically almost experience some of what the other, when I attune to nature or transform, he can sort of get some of that and vice versa. So, but to outsider, I'm just leaning against the railing next to Kyle, sipping on a tea.
So you're doing that, leaning on the railing, sipping your tea, and the rain stopped very suddenly. The clouds clear away, the sun comes back out, and it is as it was before, a beautiful day. And you both kind of look at each other, just knowing, like, all right, something's up with this. You look back towards the shore, and you can see the long streaks of blood in the white sand getting drawn in and out by the lapping waves. And you can see the rubble of the debris from that rowboat starting to wash up on the shore, as well as some bodies in the water, gulls starting to attack them. And you see some of the villagers start to come out to clean it up. And you realize you've made more of an impact here than you would like. And you guys kind of sigh and finish your drink.
Sapush says partly to himself, "In the next sun, the blood will be gone. The next moon, the bodies, it will go."
Captain Cohen comes up from below deck and hears that comment, and he says, "This is what happens when we're at war. We leave a trail of bodies in our wake.
You are at war?
We never stopped being at war."
Also, Sapush, remember, the stains may disappear from the beach, but not their memories.
This is true. Deep. We carry them now.
Let's break here. Guys, calculate your experience, because when we jump back into it, we'll have a couple days on the boat.
Okay.
So probably some leveling up to do.
Yeah,
I'm at 7.
treat this as a end of session, then I think
We can do it. Let's get everyone.
A police car and a screaming siren, pneumatic drill and ripped up concrete.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of our Into the Storm arc. If you're liking what you hear, tell a friend about it, write a goddamn review on Apple Podcasts, do whatever you can do to help us out and get the word out there. In the meantime, check us out online. We are at Nastygram on Instagram and Twitter. And the best place to interact personally with all the cast is at our Facebook page, the Nastygram RPG Lounge. Our intro music is by Wilhelm Scream. Scores once again by Adrian von Ziegler, and some new stuff from an awesome Finnish composer, Antti Martakainen. If you guys are missing Dean on this arc, go ahead and hop over to LSG Media. Listen to all their great stuff. He's on it all. LibertyStreetGeek.net. Thanks again, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Days of speed and slow time Mondays. Listen now with rain on a boring Wednesday. Watching the news and not eating your tea. Freezing conflict and death on the walls. I said that's entertainment. That's entertainment.
That's nasty.